While other video game franchises have risen and fallen, Bungie's Halo trilogy seems to have stood the test of time. The question remains as to what exactly gives Halo its unique identity among legions of other first-person shooter games. Some would argue that its inclusion of inventive weapons and vehicles alongside equally engaging gameplay makes Halo stand out. Still, others say that Bungie's timeless visual style and presentation is the reason why players keep returning to the games. All of these factors, however, would fail to fit together so well without one core connector. Halo's soundtrack is the single most important part of the series and the reason for its distinct identity and legacy today. To understand why Halo's soundtrack is so fundamental to the spirit of the game, one must first see how it is implemented in-game. Rather than play a static track with a definite end, specific musical segments and melodies loop and change according to the player's in-game actions. This sort of dynamic method is possible due to how Martin O'Donnell, lead composer of the Halo games, chose to construct the score of the game. O'Donnell's approach was to compose a multitude of small arrangements, with some serving as ambient glue, some being rousing martial music, and others as transition pieces. Audio engineers then use an interactive system of checkpoints and trigger locations to know when to play these key musical pieces and tie them together. This process creates a natural progression of the score and allows for quiet ambient tracks to seamlessly transition into bombastic themes of war. It also makes it so many tracks on the official soundtrack are just self-constructed medleys of all of Martin O'Donnell's work. Halo's score is a complex puzzle of all sorts of different pieces that the player themselves gets to unknowingly put together. A groundbreaking method of audio implementation, however, is useless without an equally impressive score. One aspect that sets Halo apart is how Martin O'Donnell does not stick to a single musical genre. Halo has been described as having a very hybrid score, with influences from a wide array of musical styles, spanning from classical tunes to tribal African music, and even to, alternative rock? Okay, Marty, The same level that begins with a quiet harmonization of medieval monks could just as soon present the player with an adrenaline-fueling guitar solo. Many times, these instruments are further used or combined in unconventional ways. An out-of-tune viola can create a sense of dread, just as well as a percussionist fusion of drums and synth can form a strange yet harmonious melody. Outside of a few key tracks, an apparent lack of brass and electronic synth is unexpected in a game that is the definition of the action sci-fi genre. Halo breaks these conventions and is able to define its own unique musical identity through an atypical score that somehow seamlessly blends together. Halo's musical identity can be further broken down by the divisions between different alien cultures. Despite not physically appearing in the main trilogy, the Halo mythos revolves around the ancient Forerunner civilization. The player learns more of this extinct race and the cause of their demise through the mysterious structures and ruins they left behind, such as the titular Halo ring. Their musical themes reflect this mysteriousness, with the primary focal point being the now iconic choir of Gregorian monks. The Covenant, an alliance of warmongering alien races, worshipped these Forerunners as gods and built their civilization on salvaged Forerunner technology. The track Covenant Dance serves as the quintessential example of Covenant-themed music, where tribal drums are heard pounding alongside a futuristic synth percussion. The centricity of the Forerunners to their culture also brings their musical influence in the form of a prominent monk choir. The most important part of this track is unspoken, as it subtly represents what the Covenant is: a futuristic, technologically advanced civilization, grounded and held back by their primitive beliefs. Waging war against the Covenant is the UNSC, humanity's interplanetary defense force. Patriotic drum cadences and stringed instruments push the player forward as they fight alongside trigger-happy Space Marines. Together with the Master Chief, they're forced to face off against the Covenant and a second, even more dangerous threat. For on the other end of the triangle of conflict is the all-consuming Flood. These zombie-like creatures are ancient enemies of the Forerunners that spread rapidly, with their only goal being total assimilation of all sentient life. Like a virus, they corrupt both UNSC and Covenant forces alike, twisting their forms and bending them to their will. Sounds of cryptic whispers, unnerving strings, and tense drum beats replace the once melodic instruments to reflect this drastic shift in both enemy and tone. Though each race has its own distinctive musical themes, all take influence and play off the others in this musical triumvirate. Of all the characters and species in Halo, none are as important as Spartan John 117, the Master Chief. Each game sets Master Chief on a different mission of paramount importance, of which certain primary instruments reflect and tie into. Halo Combat Evolved has the player first take on the role of the UNSC's last super soldier, a lone warrior on a mysterious alien structure. The player is tasked with uncovering the secrets of the installation, all the while battling the Covenant troops sworn to defend it. Here, sweeping tracks with serene choirs can quickly turn into bombastic pieces with aggressive strings and war drums to convey this perfect mix of exploration and combat. These themes continue with the sequel, but even before development began, Bungie wanted Halo 2 to feel larger and even more epic in scope. This time, Master Chief acts as the sole defender of the galaxy, taking on the Covenant leadership and yet another Halo ring. Electric guitar riffs punctuate his journey and express his power on the battlefield against unyielding alien armies. Finally, Halo 3 is the conclusion of everything set up prior, and Bungie's intended send-off to the series. Master Chief isn't just fighting to defeat the Covenant, he's fighting to save humanity itself. It's a lot more personal, as the player sees both the UNSC and elites taking their last stand and giving all they can to finish the fight. The piano takes a major part in these compositions, an instrument capable of both evoking raw emotion and giving a sense of grandeur and battle. The essential journey of the Chief may follow similar beats, but his specific role as either explorer, defender, or savior aids in setting each game and soundtrack apart. In order to determine the most important part of Halo, one must consider not only what players remember, but also what causes these memories to form. Does the strongest impact lie in the action throughout stunning vistas, or from deep within the vast lore of the franchise? All of these things play key roles in the overarching picture, but the force behind what truly gives Halo its unique identity is found in its soundtrack. When constructing the first pieces of music for Halo Combat Evolved, Martin O'Donnell received one requirement from story director Joe Staten. It needs to be ancient, epic, and mysterious. This principle is exactly what Halo strives to be, from its grand visuals and compelling story, to its engaging gameplay and overall tone. Halo's score embodies everything that sets the series apart, and is the underlying foundation behind the success of Bungie's legendary trilogy.